Yeah. There we go. Good morning, artists. Happy Wednesday. Um, I just came down here to get ready to get to work, and on my way down, I noticed it started snowing outside. So happy April! Spring is here. We here in Michigan, we know that we always get the second winter that pops in, right? So yesterday, if you were here with me, we finished up our landscape drawing. So that for my class, that is going to be due by Friday. So work on it through the week if you can. If you have to wait until Friday because you're doing all your other classwork, I understand. Take your time. Try to get in by Friday if possible. If you need some extra time, that's okay. We're being really lenient about due dates right now, but I don't want you to fall behind so that you're trying to rush everything at the end. So please try to keep up as much as you can. I know several of you are still working on your packets from before spring break, but try to get those in pretty quickly if you can. So today is not a same lesson as we've done before. This will not go up on Google Classroom because it's not going to be anything that you guys have to follow along. Today's just a fun come and art with me day. So if you are working on your assignments, you can send me questions. And remember, if you're watching this later on, if you have something that you're struggling with, you can email me, you can leave me a comment on YouTube if that's where you're watching it, you can leave me a comment on Google Classroom if that's where you're getting these from, and let me know what it is you're having trouble with, and I will work to try and make sure that I cover it either in the next stream or even just make like a really short video that I can add to the Google Classroom post to make sure that you get everything. Okay? So let's get started today. We're actually going to be working on a little character I already started with you guys last week. There she is. So this was part of my series of characters based on different things in our universe. So we've done a sun character, we did a moon character, that's kind of who started the whole thing. And now this is our little Mercury girl. I wanted somebody kind of small and spunky looking because Mercury is our smallest planet. And we finished up the drawing portion. We finished up the outlining. She's looking really good. And we're going to start doing some coloring. So I'm going to be using my super nice Prismacolored colored pencils. They are probably some of the best colored pencils out there. They are expensive, but if you are planning on doing any kind of really serious artwork, much better than Crayola. Crayola is fine. You can get the job done. Prisma just has a lot more options. So I've already picked out some colors to get handy. Ready to go with this. In our color scheme, we're gaining inspiration from actual planet Mercury. Look how cool that is. It's got all these really nice kind of yellow, orange, blue tones in there, a little bit of violet as well. So we're going to kind of bring some of those colors into our girl here. I'm going to start off though, I always like to start off with whatever the light colors are going to be. Because with colored pencil, if you get too many little pieces of it, if you're coloring and you're pressing down pretty hard, you'll get little particles that will happen, like almost like dust. So if you start with the really dark colors, there's a chance that those little particles will get into the areas you don't want to be dark, and then that causes some problems. So I want her. We're going to start with her skin this time around. With both the other ladies, since they had darker skin, we started with the outfits and saved the skin for last. But since she's going to be a little bit of a lighter tone, we're going to start off with her skin. Little pencil marks hiding in there. There we go. So I got the chance today to run into the school building to pick up some stuff. Some dry erase markers and some other little project examples, possible things to do for us moving forward here, doing our online classes. Grabbed my electric pencil sharpener so I could have that handy down here with you guys in my studio basement. So if at any point you hear a really loud kind of grinding noise, it'll sound like this. That is my pencil sharpener. I'll try to give a little warning because I have a feeling it's kind of startling. It's pretty loud. And I don't want you guys watching to be like, oh, jump scare. So if you guys have been keeping up with me doing these streams for a while now, some of this will be a little bit of repeat for you, but I'm going to say it all again anyway. When I do my coloring, I tend to go over everything kind of lightly first. I do a light overall tone just to start things off. And that's the nice thing about these colored pencils is Prisma blends very well. So with Crayola, it's a little bit tougher to do this because they're not as blendable. Now this is a little bit of a yellower tone than I might use for some skin, but because the planet Mercury has that slightly yellow-orangish tone in it, I wanted to sneak a little bit of that in here. And then we'll go back and start adding a peachier tone. Colored pencils is all about layering and adding more than one color together. You can sometimes get away with just using a single color, but I find that things tend to look deeper, if that makes sense. You can create more of a 3D sense by using multiple colors rather than just doing light and dark versions of the same. And especially with something like skin tone and even fabric, there's more than one color. I mean, I've got freckles, I've got redness in certain areas that have gotten beaten up, or, you know, if I'm playing with the dog, I'll have a bruise or two, because he's tough. My baby's a tough baby. So it's important, especially with skin tone, to use multiple colors. Kind of exciting to see. Been getting more followers lately. I'm assuming most of them are students finally joining us, but we did have somebody join yesterday who's not a student, which was fun to know that there's some people out there who might be getting something out of this stream more than just for classwork. That's you, Pancake. Yes, good morning. I just get a kick out of your name. I can't help it. Like, hey guys, guess who was watching me today? Pancake was watching me today. Pancake, we're going to have to find a friend for you and name them Waffle. So we can have pancakes and waffles up in the chat here. So I'm sneaking in with a salmon pink color. So we got a little bit of yellow, we got a little bit of peach, we got a little bit of a pinkish tone. Although salmon pink tends to be a little bit more orange. But again, we're just adding layers right now. I'm using this salmon color for some shading. So yesterday my sister and I decided we needed to put on a movie while we were doing some work. And we put on brand new Blu-ray that we bought. Very controversial. The Cats musical. Dun dun dun. There's been so many people out complaining about it and talking about how crazy it is and they didn't understand it and everybody looks strange because they're like people but they're like cats. I think it's fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy the new song. I think the singing and all, it is very fun. I don't mind them looking like cats at all. I feel like anybody who really grew up with some of the Disney stuff, like, how can you be concerned about this? Like, we're used to watching Robin Hood as a fox. Why can't people be cats? If you get the chance, though, if you're interested in musicals and theater and stuff like that, find the Cats 1998 movie. I know that sounds like it's got to be super old, but it is fantastic. I think it would probably make more sense in a lot of ways than the 2019 movie. But some of the things that are definitely weird about the new movie, like mice with faces, it's handled a little bit better in the 98 movie. If you've been watching any of the videos out there that are complaining about it, they've probably shown some of that. All right, let's get... I think I'm going to use this brown. So most of the time, I tend to use this kind of light brown color, but I'm going to try out, we're going to go with a light umber, which it's still brown, but it's almost a little bit of a yellowish brown. It's not like, it doesn't feel like a nice warm kind of brown. But we're going to use that just in some of the darkest areas. I gotta tell you guys, it was very strange going into the school building this morning. It was so quiet. I didn't see anybody. There was like one car in the parking lot when I got there. I had 15 minutes to run in, get all the stuff I needed, and get out. When I left, the car that had been there was gone. There was a different car in the parking lot in a different space. So it's teachers sneaking in to get their different work and stuff, but when I came in, I heard it sounded like a cart being pushed, which is totally normal when I normally get there in the morning. Like, I usually get to school pretty early most days. I'm usually there at like 7 o'clock. So there's usually not too many people around. I'll hear the ladies who work in the kitchen. I'll sometimes hear them coming in and get started on breakfast. Usually Mr. Dave is there getting stuff ready. So I might run into him, or I'll hear him pushing a cart around somewhere, moving things. So coming in and hearing a cart was not strange, but it was strange. I popped down to the office to see if there was anything there for me, and it was just so quiet, and there was nobody there to say hi to. And I brought my mask, of course, that my mom had made for me, and wore that. And that too was very strange, to be like, I have to go into this building that I go into every day. But now it's like you have no idea what it's like in there, and you have no idea if, you know, somebody who's been through has been sick, and, you know, maybe they coughed on my doorknob. I have no idea. So I had to sanitize once I got out. It's a very strange feeling. And, you know, I haven't gone outside too much anyway. I'm outside every day walking the dogs, but in terms of, like, going places. So it was definitely weird to be in the car, driving, passing by areas that normally have a lot of people in them, and just seeing it just quiet. I think coming home was weirder than going, because in the morning when I'm heading to school, I'm used to it, you know, not being too many people on the road. So that was pretty normal. But coming home, I'm used to, you know, it's right usually near the beginning of when rush hour is going to get started. So there's usually more people out on the road, and it was very empty feeling by comparison. Driving past parking lots that I'm used to seeing a ton of people there, and they're just nothing. Alright, so now is where we start. Kind of did this nice little all over now. She's got a little bit of shading happening. So now I'm going to sneak in. This is just a regular peach. And I'm just going to start going over the areas of shadow. So inside the ear, underneath the chin, starting to creep up a little bit into the sides of the face, just starting to make these areas look a little bit more rounded. Lightly on the side here. The nicest part was when I got home today after being out. Wiley, who was our tan puppy, was sitting on top of the couch so he could see out our front window, just lying there. And when he heard the garage door open, his head just popped up, and he watched as my car pulled into the driveway, and I couldn't hear him bark, but I could see him bark and leap off the couch. And then as soon as I got in, he was right at the door, ready to say hi. And that's the best. You miss it a little bit. You don't get that come home hooray anymore, because you're just home the whole time. They're like, oh yeah, you again. Good morning. So looking at this picture of Mercury, it seems that the majority of it is a little more blue than it is the yellow and orange colors. So I think we're going to have blue as being kind of the major color going into the clothing. Still haven't decided if, when getting into other characters, if I'm going to start including alternative kinds of hair and skin tones. But I feel like especially getting to things like Neptune, which is always associated with water, even though it doesn't have any. But the planet itself is kind of a blue tone, so it's really easy to want to go into that water feeling, since the planet is named after the god of the ocean. But I'm trying not to be too typical, I guess, in the designs I'm choosing. I think especially that was important for me when I did Moon Girl. Selmina, that was her name. I think especially when doing her, I didn't want her to be... I liked her, the white hair, but I didn't want her to be like this super pale, kind of flaky looking girl. I wanted her to be strong, and I did want her to have some darker skin. Be a little contradictory, and I think it came out really cool. And the Sun Girl kind of came out, I didn't want her to be too, what's the word? It's grandiose is a good term. A lot of times when you see people doing sun figures, it's big robes and, I mean, obviously having light and sun shapes everywhere. And I still included a lot of sun shapes. But she came out a little more like almost tribal warrior, which I really like too. So being the planet Mercury for this lady, usually associated with the Mercury's namesake is a messenger god in Roman mythology. Greek mythology, he's called Hermes. And he's usually drawn as being younger and probably on the thinner side. Let's brush that off a little. I didn't want this one to feel fragile though. I wanted her to feel like she is tough, she can take care of herself. I mean, the planet is the closest to the sun, it reaches the highest temperatures. Probably plan on going through and doing most of the planets at this point. I've at least created names for all of them, so it'd be a little waste if I didn't go through and do some drawings of them. Not like we don't have time now, right? So these marks on her leg are going to end up being kind of like a bit of a tattoo idea. So that's why I'm going over first with just the skin tones. And then I'll come over it again with probably some kind of shade that I'm including in her outfit. Probably use like a similar blue to what I did for Moon Lady. She had some nice little tattoo art on her arm. I should make sure to bring that down the next time I'm doing this so you guys can see them again. Water break. Didn't get the tea ready in time since I was out and about this morning. This is looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. Let's just gonna use a little bit of white in the lightest areas. White colored pencil will lighten things a little bit. You just have to be careful with it. Some people try to color over with white as if it's going to make it really light. I notice a lot of time what it can end up doing is just creating almost a bumpy looking texture. It will do, it's weird because it will do some blending, but it can also create less blending. Is really what the texture ends up looking like. It makes things look a little bumpy. But when you have, especially with a light color like her skin here, you almost want to go in and make sure to add just a tiny hint of that white in some areas. I feel pretty good about that. Let's actually do you. So this is an indigo blue. It's the same blue that I used for the tattoo on Moon Girl. I don't think I'll push this quite as dark though. I kind of like that it's looking a little rougher. So a couple of you guys have been showing me your landscape pictures and they've been looking really, really awesome. Some of you are working super hard. And I love it, it's looking great. Alright, pretty happy with that for now. So, moving into the rest of this. I haven't decided about her hair yet, or her eyes. We're going to leave those alone for now. But I do want to, on her crown here, there's a couple of spaces on the planet that look like they're probably craters of some sort. And they have this great mix using white and the one in particular I'm looking at right in the center of this picture has a little bit of blue in the middle and then some yellow toward the edges. So we're going to mimic this part of her crown to look like one of those craters. And even a little bit of this orange. Put that especially right along the very edge of it. And we'll even sneak a little darker orange in the bottom. Just for shading purposes. Nice. So I'm going to create kind of an echo effect now for the rest of this symbol. No blue, just the yellow and the orange. So it'll look similar in color to the rest of the crown, but it will definitely leave the center standing out with that nice blue. I like the hint of that darker orange in there too. Very nice. Okay. So, looking into her outfit now. Let me see. Where did I put? My class will know what this is. I found my no-no pad. No-no is like my testing ground. It is where I will show students how to use something, and then they can take the picture with them if they need to. I'm using it to see what's the better color to match this planet, and it is ultramarine. So I'm sneaking in with this darker color first this time. Just because I know ultimately this area is going to be pretty dark. And then I'm going to use this lighter blue. Actually, not you. You. This blue is a little bit softer. It's a little light cerulean, and this is more of a, it's called non-photo blue. I think it's kind of a weird name for it. It's a little bit stronger, not quite neon, but you get the right idea. It's a little more like an electric blue in a way. So I'm just going to add that in, because again we want to have a feeling of texture, especially for the fabric here. Okay, so I've got those two blues so far. And then I'm going to go back to that indigo blue that we used on the tattoo to creep into the shadows here a little bit. There's no real purple in this picture. It's got maybe a little bit of a lavender tone to it, so maybe we'll sneak just a tiny bit of purple in there as well. So let's start with this. Shadowed areas especially. Now a little bit on the side here, because this fabric is meant to be on top. The stripe is like it's on top of the rest of the skirt, so I want that to feel like there's a little hint that that's getting tucked underneath. A little hint of a shadow. Alright, let's actually use, it's almost a reddish purple. I don't want to go too red though. That's too red. Alright. Let's get a little mulberry. I'm not going to do it all over. I'm going to kind of add it in next to where the shadows are going to be. I don't want it everywhere. Just hinted at, the way it's hinted at on the actual planet. Now let's go back to our light blue. Lighten it up just a bit, just a bit. Starting to add a little more pressure. Using the light blue to help blend things a bit first. And now the real dark areas, adding some pressure. Which is mostly going to be on the edges here. And underneath the hand. So there's a chance that tomorrow's stream is going to be a little bit late. The teachers are putting together a staff meeting, a digital staff meeting, which is supposed to start around 10 o'clock. So I may have to push back streaming time for it. I'll try to give you guys a good heads up. It sounds like it shouldn't be too long of a meeting, so there's a good chance that I'll finish that up and then just come right on afterwards. So possibly we'll do like a 10:30 to 11:30, depending on how long the meeting goes. pretty cool. Keep in mind, whenever you're using colored pencil, especially when you start to add pressure like this, you want to try and follow the shape of what it is you're working on. So this skirt that curves around her hips, I'm trying to go only side to side with. If I started going up and down and changing it, it might end up looking a little bit strange. This side we can't really help it, it's so small. You can probably see as I'm dusting it off, there's a couple of those little darker particles we were talking about. Just being careful of. That's why I like to use a paper towel or a brush even to clean things off, because your hand will kind of push the particles in more, and using something light like a paper towel, you can just kind of very gently brush it off. That's nice. Alright, so the rest of this has some more of. Let's just start pulling these colors aside. We got our yellow and our oranges. We've been using this blue and this blue because we've got a bunch of different colors now that we can add in here. Let's see. There's even a little bit of brown in there. I wonder if we can add in. There we go. Here's my thought process. There's two different kinds of shapes happening. There's the half circle shape and there's the plus shape, the design on her outfit. I'm thinking the plus shape we use 4 colors for, or actually we could probably just get away with 3. That might be better. And the half moon shape using 2. That might blend in a little bit. Too much though with her outfit. So let's get rid of that blue. And let's bring in some of that purple color. I like that. So what I'm thinking is these little shapes here, we're going to have, each square will be its own color. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to hit up every one on the same side. Don't forget on the crown. Boom. Time to sharpen. Now for this, I'm going to do the 2 opposite corners. They're the kind of designs that this would never get made into a comic or a, especially something animated. Oh my goodness. Someone would be looking at these designs going, are you out of your mind? But this will give all the squares this little feeling of light matching the crown. And then the other half will, with the circle, will be the cooler colors. Warm stripe, cool stripe. Is it loud, Pancake? I'm sorry. I can't have it too far away. I'll try to get, I brought home some little handheld ones too. It takes so much longer. I like the idea that I can just do it quick and keep coloring, but if it's going to be too loud on the stream, then we will have to go with the quieter option. I like how these little squares look now. Like a little quilt block. All right. I'm not 100% yet on this purpley color, but we'll at least get this part started. Maybe I'll hide the pencil sharpener under the table. And then it'll be a little more muffled. Okay, so testing time. And just for accuracy's sake, because some of these back up to the blue, I want to make sure that they look good next to that. So, testing the reddish purple. Not horrible. Let's try the indigo. That's pretty dark. I don't know if I want it to be too dark. Let's test peacock blue. It's a little more greenish. Let's try one more. This is called a Copenhagen blue, which is a blue that also has a little bit of a green tone, but you can I don't know how well it picks up on the camera, but it's not quite as green and it's just different enough. So, winner is going to be the Copenhagen. Once I get this part that I missed, boo. There we go. That's good. Darker color without being ridiculous. It's actually pretty similar to on our Sun Lady. Her design was triangles, and they were orange and kind of a teal, blue-green. But that's good. They should have, I want them to feel like they're in the same universe, planets in the same universe, but also that, you know, they're individual but have some similarities. It's good character design. The real question then is going to be what to do for the little extra bands, the ones that are just these little rectangle shapes. I think they're probably going to end up being yellow and orange. Got plenty of blue in here. Oh, I like that together. That looks so cool. Okay, cool. Sorry, geeking out about my cool stuff. Let's use a little bit of this indigo though. Just in the corners. As a little bit of a shadow. Just tiny bit, tiny bit, tiny bit, tiny bit. All right. Let's just do the oranges. I think that sounds best. Probably have to scoot this. You guys probably can't see me doing our feet. Let's actually use just a tiny bit of this violet-y color, just on the edges again. For shading purposes. think I'm going to have to go darker, though, on her tattoo. It's kind of standing out funny right now. Yeah, let's smooth it out. Luckily there's enough of the skin tone pencil on it to blend well. That was the goal. There we go. Just using a little bit of the peach to help soften it just a bit. Not too bad. Alright, all that's left is the hair. I think let's make a little use of this mulberry color. I don't want to go full on redhead because then the red, it's not going to match with anything else on her right now. And I don't want to go into that trope of the spunky redheaded character too much. But we'll use this reddish color as a base before I do that. Again, interrupting myself. Watch out. Here comes the sharpener. It's going to be loud. Give her some blue eyes. And we're going to sneak a tiny bit of our darker blue in there as well. Eyes too, it's a great place to try and sneak in more than one color. And you get a nice close-up of an eye. It is pretty out there. Okay. Let's soften this red up now. I'm going with a little bit of brown. There are some brown areas on the planet. So this feels like a good decision here. Mix that in a little bit. Again, using lots of colors, lots of different layers of color. And then we're going to get a darker brown. Sneak that in right along the edges, especially around the crown area, where it's going to create a little bit of a shadow. Thanks, Bobbin Works. I'm glad you like it. Hope you guys are doing well today too. Just reintroducing a little bit more of that red-violet color. Going a little bit over time today, but we're going to finish her up, so I think that it's worth it. Yeah. So I don't have my pens down with me today, but last step on her would really just be going over where some of these little fringe happened, especially down in the legs here, and just kind of darken those up. But for the most part, there she is, guys. She came up pretty cool. So let's get you back this way. Sit up right in here, arm. There we go. All right, so review. Landscape due Friday. Tomorrow is going to be a little bit of a later stream than usual because of the staff meeting. And after that, we'll be working on something new, I guess. I mean, I got more characters that I can draw. If you guys think of anything that you'd like to see or have any requests, or if you need any help, please make sure to let me know pretty early on. So, like, the sooner the better, so I can plan things out really well. Okay? In the meantime, stay safe. Wear your masks. Make one if you have to. Wrap a scarf around your face. Wash your hands. And please stay safe and healthy. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.